Sutra, where the whole pieces that you have gathered has to be all put together to make it into a vision, right? So what is the vision? The vision is what? Jiva, Aishwarya, Abheda. So that means there is no essential difference between Jiva and Ishvara. But this Abheda, you cannot resolve at a wrong point. Because if you do, it will be such a confusion, which is what? Hallucination. So therefore, it has to be resolved at the right point. That's why we understood Vachyarthe Bhedaha. If you look at the direct meaning, then there is a difference. Between Jiva and Ishvara, there is a big difference. Jiva, the individual, is Alpajnaha, Alpashaktiman. Limited knowledge, limited power. Ishvara, Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman. All knowledge and all power which manifests the whole universe. But the resolution point is the awareness. The awareness, because for little knowledge, what is required?
For little knowledge.
For little knowledge also you need awareness. Without awareness there cannot be little knowledge. For all knowledge also you need what? Awareness. All knowledge cannot exist without the presence of awareness. Right? So both of them are dependent reality. Right? And what is the independent reality? Awareness. Right? So this is what has to be understood. Now imagine, as I saw, we use the analogy. We use the analogy of wave, ocean and water. Right? Now imagine if a little wave becomes a wise wave. Okay? Now this wise wave, will it stop? Will it just say that, oh, all that is here is water, and ignore the entity Ishvara, ocean? No. It will relate to this whole universe in two ways. One is as a wave, a wise wave, it will see its connection to the ocean, which is a permanent connection. From the ocean, a wave comes. By the ocean, the wave is sustained. And unto the ocean, the wave goes. So therefore, that relationship is not going to disappear for the wise person, for the wise wave. Okay? So when it relates to the total as that wave, what is the relationship? Oneness. The oneness is the individual is included in the total. Right? It's part of the total. Because the totality includes not only one wave, but what? All the other waves. Right? So there is this total which includes all the parts. Or you can say it the other way, and you can say all that is here is the ocean. If you say all that is here is the ocean, then all the waves are already included. The waves of the past, the waves of the present, the waves of the future, they are all included. You don't need to wait to know each wave in detail. You can understand that the whole, the ocean, which includes everything, is just one entity, ocean. So at this way, a wise person can look at anything and celebrate it as part of one reality which is manifesting in so many different names and forms. Names and forms don't create duality. Because all the names and forms, if they collapse in one reality, if all the waves collapse in one ocean, and ocean remains only one entity, where is duality? Nowhere. Forms don't create duality. If you start seeing forms as isolated, independent reality, that creates duality. They are all, if you begin to see, they are all dependent upon ocean, and ocean is one entity. No duality. It's just a shift of perspective. Now, there is another thing that the wise person understands, which is what all that is here is. Both the wave and the ocean have one more fundamental reality, which is the water. If the wave understands that essentially I am water, with reference to that given form, I am given a name called wave. And essentially, even the ocean is water. But it includes what? It is a much bigger form, which includes all other forms. It has been given another name, ocean. From standpoint of the water that I really am I part of the ocean or I am one with the ocean? One with the ocean. With reference to that form, I am part. But with reference to the essence, that all that is here is water. Water is not divided really into big and small. That division is only what? From a given standpoint. Okay? So that means the wise person is what? Operating at both levels. It's not that it operates only at the level of water. Because there is some truth about the waveness and the oceanness. You can't totally ignore it. That's why a wise person remains a devotee. Doesn't discount Ishvara. Remains a devotee because at empirical level that difference does exist. That's why Adi Shankaracharya, the biggest proponent of Advaita, writes what? He's a big upasaka. He goes to Kedar and prays. He goes to Mukambika and does upasana for years. Any understanding that the wise person, for that wise person, Ishvara will become just kind of mithya, is a huge delusion. There are two relationships, and the wise person is very, very clear. And the whole celebration comes from where? Not seeing this awareness which is unchanging. What kind of celebration comes from seeing awareness which is never, it has no attributes, it is never changing, it is what? Not at all under, it is not doing anything, it is not enjoying anything. The whole celebration comes by your understanding of Ishvara, because all these forms come, the relationships come, the beauty comes, marvel comes, delight comes. All that the wise person becomes is what? Knowing in that relationship of what? Ishvara. And this is why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes 4 types of devotees. The first devotee is what we call Arti. The person who is in trouble. The person who is in trouble, when everything is going well, I am the one who is doing it. It's my glory. It's my achievements. It's my success. I am cool. But when things go wrong, when I am in trouble, then what happens? Oh, prayers. So that means I remember Ishvara in the times of trouble. This devotee is told to be Arti. The second type of devotee is Artharthi. Artharthi is who? It's not just when I'm in trouble, but I know that there is a presence, and for that presence I try to incorporate in my daily pursuits. I want what? Money, I want success, I want children, I want good health, I want a job, I want kids. For getting all of this, the person makes one's own effort, but also recognizes that one has no control over all the variables. So therefore, by adding one prayer, what do? Increase the probability of getting what they are looking for. So this person uses that Ishvara as an accomplice for all one's desires. This is Artharthi. There is a third type of a devotee, which is what they call a jnani. A mumukshu, a jignasu. A jignasu is the one who begins to ask this question, that I'm invoking Ishvara in times of trouble, I'm invoking Ishvara to help me in all my pursuits, to fulfill all my desires. But what is this Ishvara? What is the real nature of this Ishvara to whom I am praying? Because who is that Ishvara? Where is this Ishvara located? Is there Ishvara or not? Or there is only vagueness. Nobody knows. So Jignasu wants to know what is the nature of this Ishvara to whom I am relating. And finally, Lord Krishna says that the fourth devotee is a jnani, a wise person who has figured out that there is essentially no difference between Ishvara and the individual. But he still continues to be a devotee, the biggest devotee. And Lord Krishna goes on to say that actually jnani tu atma eva me matam. I and jnani become one. Because everybody is confused about that relationship, whereas the jnani has solved that puzzle, solved that riddle that Surya was talking about in the meditation. Okay, so a jnani is a devotee, the highest devotee, because there is total understanding of what that Ishvara is, not partial or vague understanding. And that to this jnani his sincerity is so much that Ishvara has what? Blessed with the knowledge. So that means that understanding of what is shining in wise person's head as clear as the sun which shines. There is no weakness, there is no doubt, there is no confusion. All the years of efforts have culminated into clarity, total clarity. Right? So this is what the vision of Vedanta is. Tattu Samanvaya. The whole, all that you have listened and argued and heard for last 10 days, where does it all culminate? Into this knowledge. Now, people are not, this is Brahma Sutra, so people are not just going to listen to us with an awe and say, wow, what a vision. They have questions. They are all going to grill us. So we need to answer them. The first question. Now, please understand, up to now, we have seen different schools of thought. Which are these different schools of thought? One is wonderful. The first we saw was Vaisheshika and Nayayika. What was their vision? That all these, what? There are dravya, there are guna, there are objects, there are attributes, and then they somehow come together and create the world. We argued with them, and what did we say? First of all, show me a guna which is hanging loose without water. So what are these categories that you have created? Those categories themselves don't hold the water. Whiteness doesn't just hang in the air. It only hangs what? It is belonging, it's an attribute of something. So you can't create a category, dravya, the objects, guna, then they come together. So we dismissed them. Then we had Shunyavadi. Shunyavadi was saying the whole creation is mithya, I understand, and ultimately what remains is nothingness. What is the argument given? Rajan had 2 sentences which were perfect.
How did objects or how did manifestation happen from nothingness?
That is the first thing. Everything cannot come from nothing. That is not possible. Second. Nothing cannot be the cause of everything.
So the reverse.
Yes, the reverse. Right? So therefore, the whole build, we need not study. Otherwise, we'll have to study for years and years and years to figure out all the details. But if the basic premise is wrong, then what? You can give it up. Now, the third one was Kshanika Vijnanavadi. Kshanika Vijnanavadi is another school of thought. And what did they say? Flickers of consciousness. So they said, what is, because for them also there is some confusion which needs to be resolved. So for them, Atma is nothing but flickers of consciousness. And what is the mistake that we make? We take it as a continuous entity. And we take it as a continuous entity and then we suffer. So therefore, what is knowledge for them? To discover, I am not a continuous entity, but I am a flicker. That is why it is what Kshanika Vijnana Vadi. What is our answer to them?
They take time and space in this concept.
Yeah. First of all, they don't really, because all those flickers happen within time and space. But our argument is simpler, and it says that, in order, are you knowing what the flickers are like thoughts? Are you knowing the presence and absence of thoughts or not? Yes. So that means if you are knowing the presence of thought, means you existed before the thought came. If you are aware of the absence of thought, you should exist after that thought goes away. So that means you are there before that flicker comes, and you also survive after that flicker goes. So you are who? Not the flicker, but the invariable presence. Kshanikavadi God. Then was Sankhya. Sankhya also, they all talk about mix-up, and they all talk about resolving that mix-up. According to Sankhya, what is the nature of mix-up? The whole universe, what does it include? Time, space, and objects. What is the cause of that universe? Prakriti or Pradhana. Now please don't ask me to translate Prakriti or Pradhana, because that philosophy doesn't exist in any other language. So we can't have a translation. We can only define it. It only means for them what the whole universe, which includes time, space, and objects, comes from an entity called Prakriti or Pradhana. Then, who are you? You are not that Pradhana. Who are you? The awareness or the consciousness. So who are you? Purusha. Purusha is what? The awareful person. What is the nature of mix-up? In your mind, Prakriti and Pradhana are mixed up. Because the body belongs to Prakriti, the mind belongs to Prakriti. Yeah, Prakriti is Pradhana. But who are you? Purusha, which is the awareness. So you have to undo that confusion and understand what I am Purusha, which is independent of Pradhana. So we asked them, what is the nature of this Pradhana? They said it is Jada. Because the awareness is Purusha. So Pradhana is what? Inert. Jada. Then we asked them this question, if it is Jada, inert, and then that Pradhana also has three gunas. What are the three gunas? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Okay. So therefore, we ask them that how, if something is totally inert, how does it become manifest? This doesn't all of a sudden starts changing. It's inert. Then they say this Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, when they are in total balance, there is no creation. And when they become imbalanced, then there is creation. Something which is totally inert, how does it change from being balanced to imbalanced? Okay. So therefore, we say, and plus this whole universe that we see, is it all Jada? Everywhere you see intelligence. The body, is it inert? It exhibits so much intelligence in the way it is put. Every part is connected to the other part. which is amazingly intricately put together. The second thing we tell them is, so how many Purushas are there for you? As many bodies there are that many Purushas for them. Sankhya. We say, if you have already separated awareness from the body and mind, what attribute will you give to that awareness which will distinguish your awareness from my awareness? What attribute is remaining? In order to say two, you need to have what? Two things with different attributes. So on all counts, we show what? Many logical fallacies. Then you have another school which is called yoga. Yoga is trying to explain, refine little bit Sankhya by adding what? Ishvara. To explain how Pradhana, which is totally inert, can become this universe. So they add Ishvara as entity. And they say Ishvara puts together Pradhana and Purusha. So what is enlightenment for them? The knowledge is what? To separate what?
Purusha from
The two, exactly. To know that there is Ishvara, then there is Purusha, and there is Pradhana. And the three. So now, how do we argue with them? So let's then take yoga as the
That's a final thing.
Okay. With yoga,
yes,
it is said, yoga chittavritti nairuddha.
excellent.
You withdraw the mind.
This is what we saw. What we saw is, if there are three categories, right, what is their whole thing? The whole thing is what? That for them, samadhi, which is what? Savikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpaka samadhi is the end. Because for them, what? Pradhana and Purusha are two totally different realities. So you have to do what? Physical separation. That physical separation is like separating pot from clay. When will you accomplish it? Never. You put clay on one side and you put pot on the other side. Can't do it. It is impossible. You will be what? You can resolve your mind for how long? Seconds. And if that resolution is moksha, how long does your moksha last? For seconds. Because the nature of mind is what? Keep on. You don't need to interfere with that. Mind is the greatest gift which is given to you. If the whole objective of your life becomes stopping the mind, it is really like a suicide. Right? If mind has confusion and if it is causing problems, what do you need to do? You need to embellish the mind with right understanding, in light of which that confusion will go, and what the emotions which arise out of that confusion begin to recede. But you can't eliminate the mind. It is like telling, oh, I have but my hand is aching, so let me chop it off. Because if I didn't have hands, it will not pain. Can I say that? If the mind is creating a problem, the solution can never be what? Eliminating the mind. It can be what? Embellishing the mind so that it understands things correctly, in light of which what? All the suffering goes. So we dismiss yoga also. Good, Michael.
The next verse
Now,
is what is
the next one is he is looking for, because on the first day he tells me, but what about this I understand, but what about this? And that is what is coming in the fourth. The final thing we dismissed was whom? Purva Mimamsaka. Who are the Purva Mimamsaka? We've forgotten, right?
The ones who look at the rituals and the karma kanda.
Exactly.
They do not consider the text related to the Upanishads or the final verses.
Okay. Now what they say is, the entire purpose of the Veda is what? Is giving you some prayers and rituals to get better and
The
better.
7 lokas.
Exactly. 7 up, and if you don't follow, 7 down. So therefore, the whole purpose of Veda is that you have some known means, right? But it gives you some unknown means. So therefore, it just is what? Giving you certain things to do in order to get, right, more happiness for a longer time, with better bodies, with better objects. Right? So for them, what is moksha?
Pursue a higher, better living.
Excellent. Graduate to a better living. Absolutely. Where you have nicer bodies, you have nicer, finer objects, and you can enjoy. What do we say? How do we enter into a debate with them?
We tell them that perception and inference cannot, that the Vedas have methodology to clear up the doubts, because perception and inference itself cannot do that.
But that they also agree. They agree with that by saying you can't figure out the rituals. With your perception and inference, you can't figure out the rituals.
But
So they are giving some added information
Yeah.
that you don't have.
But Brahma, we are saying, Vedantas are saying, can only be communicated through the Shabda, because the perception and inference cannot.
True. So they also agree with that. You have to know that, because they also say that all the rituals and all, they
Yeah.
give you prayers through what? Shabda only. They describe.
Okay.
You bring fire, you light fire, you bring what? Rice, you bring kumkum. All this is Shabda Pramana.
Yeah, but the argument is that whatever you are looking for from the lokas are all within the same eternal part, you can still in the limited frame of mind, you're looking at the entire world.
Because we say the Shastra talks about moksha, so they believe in that also.
Yeah,
But we understand, we say what do the sentences in the Upanishads about self-realization mean?
Okay. So therefore,
There is no
what we
permanence,
say,
everything is limited in time and space, in whatever levels of Loka.
so what we say, if Shastra is talking about moksha, moksha is presented as what? Something which is permanent freedom from sense of limitation. By going to lokas, do you get permanent freedom from limitation? No. Why not? Because of the reasons you gave, right? Because if you are an individual who performs a given action, gets what? A given place as a result of that, it is limited. It will what? That punya that you accumulate will deplete. And you will be back to square one. Where is permanency here? There is no permanency here. It is like going on a vacation. You have worked hard, you have saved some money. You've gone to a beautiful place, lovely. You've enjoyed yourself, but sooner or later your money will be over and then you are back. Different lokas you go to is a result of punyas that you have collected. Some unseen result of good actions. You will go there, you will enjoy. Every enjoyment will lead to what? Depletion of checked out. Like every meal that you go and eat, you have to spend money. So you run out at one point. Right? So therefore, it just depletes and then what? You have to accumulate new ones. So therefore, there is no permanency here. Secondly, what we say is, you are saying the entire Veda is talking about just these rituals to get lokas. Then what about these sentences of Vedanta Shastra which talk about what? Ayam Atma is Brahman. How will you account for that? Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahman. Tat Tvam Asi. You can't just conveniently ignore those sentences because they appear at the end and they are part of the small, relatively small portions of the Veda. Shona, you had something to say?
No, I just,
Please say.
I remember we spoke about moksha according to them is going to higher places, but that also falls under dharma because it's all action.
Excellent.
But here moksha in Vedanta falls under a different category because it says you're already free.
Excellent. Excellent. Right? Wonderful. That, very good. That heaven pursuit is not a moksha pursuit, it is what? Dharma pursuit. By doing good things, you go to better places. It is dharma category. Moksha category is a different category altogether. It is knowing your nature as being essentially free from any limitation. And it's already there. Yourself is already that. What are you doing? You're only removing ignorance. You're not producing anything new. That is the basic difference between dharma and moksha. Very good, Shona. So now, the whole thing is, it seems as though we've defeated them all. But they are not so easily, they always have arguments.
Counterattacks.
Counterattacks. So now, let us see some of those counterattacks. Most of the other schools are not really engaging in debate. It's the Purva Mimamsaka who keeps coming back in Tattu Samanvaya and counterattacks. First, the first thing they talk about is, now we have said that what the whole thing is, Atma, which is already free, right? So then, Vedanta Shastra is talking about it. So it's already what we call Praptaha. Praptaha means Bhuta Vastu. It's already there. Purva Mimamsaka asks us this question, what are you talking about some things which are already existing? It's totally useless. If I don't have to do anything to get that, it's totally useless for me. If I give you an information that the crows in heaven are white, maybe, so what? Bhuta Vastu, Prapta Vastu, already there. I don't have to do anything because crows are white. What will I get out of it? Nothing. Okay? Anything which is already there and I don't have to do anything, it's all useless. That is just one piece of information. They are arguing with us, by the way. You have to keep in mind what is an opposite point of view and what we are saying. Otherwise, everything will be going round. So they are arguing with us. They are saying, if you are saying that Bhuta Vastu means there is no Purushartha only. It's already there. It's just a piece of information. It doesn't do anything. We have to answer back. What is our answer? We have to first agree. Rajan's technique. Last night you were saying you first have to say yes and then have to say but. So, first you say yes, it's true. If I give you an information about heaven having apsaras, Urvashi, Rambha. True, information. Right? But then what? According to what this Purva Mimamsaka, the information of Urvashi and Rambha is nothing until what? It creates a desire for you to go there and see them. So that piece of information is useless unless what? It is asking me to do something which is a result of an effort to work very hard for it, go there and see them. So any information that Veda gives, it entices me to what? Do something. Otherwise it is useless. What do we answer to that?
This is the same argument which we did earlier, still quotes in terms of saying, you're still talking of limited time of what you want to achieve from a dharma perspective and try to achieve that.
That's true. But we have to now, the whole technique here is slightly different. We don't keep coming back to one same point again and again. We have to, at that level, we have to defeat. They're very clever.
But if you know the information, I mean, like you know the information of the inevitable I, It doesn't make you the I until you understand it, right? It means the consciousness. So the information is out there. I know it's out there. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly.
Okay, now let's
But it
listen
doesn't
to
make- yeah.
our arguments.
How Adi Shankara argues.
How Adi Shankaracharya argues. Adi Shankaracharya says that the facts, now I'll give you another counter example, where I'm just telling you facts, but I'm solving a problem without doing anything. The example is that of snake and rope. Imagine where there is a rope, you are seeing what? A snake. And as a result of seeing snake, you are afraid. You have fear, you have anxiety, it's appearing not only in your mind, but there is a physical discomfort. All that is there. Now, instead of giving you a big bhashan on, relax your body, relax your mind. If I just point out a fact, what is the fact? This is a rope. When I point out that fact, it is bhuta vastu. It is already accomplished. Because rope was already a rope. But by pointing out bhuta vastu, what am I doing? I'm removing your fear, I'm removing your what? Anxiety, physical discomfort. I'm doing all of that. And what have I done? I'm just pointing out what is. So your rule that this information I have to do something only then it is useful is not true. You've created a rule, I've shown you an exception to this rule. Right? This is how the whole logic moves. You say that bhuta vastu jnanam, a knowledge of something which is a fact does not do anything unless I have to do something. I'm showing you a counter example by showing you knowledge of what is the only thing needed. You don't have to do anything. It solves a problem. Where did you come up with that rule? You are getting the arguments? So therefore, your contention does not hold water. Now, the second thing is they say, okay, so it is bhuta vastu and you have to know it. So you begin to accept Vedanta as something which has something to give you, and not that the only thing which is a subject matter of Veda is these rituals and prayers. Then they say, now the argument that Michael wanted to solve, and he says, okay now, so let's say that in that final pursuit there is jnana karma samuchaya. What is jnana? Knowledge. What is karma? Action. So you have, in order to know Brahman, you need mixture of knowledge and actions. He has the answer. He's shaking his head. Is it true? For knowing the nature of Atma, which is limited, limitless. Not do you need to combine knowledge with actions? No. Why?
I don't want to get into it.
Okay,
Do I-
I have to answer. He doesn't want to answer. He knows the answer, but he wants me to answer give the reason. Right? Why? Because it's extremely critical to understand. What is the difference between knowledge and action? Any knowledge is Vastu Tantra. Vastu Tantra, and any karma, action, is Purusha Tantra. Understand this difference, because if you don't understand this, the Vedanta will not make sense. If I ask you to come and take this pot from my hand, come and take this pot from my hand. But nobody got up. So that means you have a choice. You have a choice, what? Either to come and take it, right?
Not to take.
Not to take, sit exactly where you are, or to come and give it to Anita, who originally bought this pot. All these different choices you have.
Or ask Anita, go take it.
Saying this is the last class now, Anita, take back your pot. This is an opportunity. So therefore, there is a possibility. Any karma, any action is what? An action with reference to action, karmani eva adhikara. You have a choice. You have a choice. You can do it, you need not do it, and you can do it differently. Neeru loves this. Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. But, now, imagine, I show you the pot and I say, see a flower. You will think I'm gone bonkers. Here you see a flower. Do you have a choice? If you want, no. If it is a pot, what choice do you have but to see it as a pot? If you see a flower, then you are
Very creative.
so creative that you may land up somewhere else. In any knowledge, you have no choice. Here you have no choice. What decides what you see?
The nature and the attribute of the Lord.
Exactly. The nature of the object decides what you see. Your choice has no role to play. Oh, I wish it was not a pot, but it was chocolate, so that I would have, I would have it after the class. Your free will, your wishful thinking, your wanting it to be, does it have any role? No. Knowledge is true to what? What is. Vastu Tantra. Whatever you want to know, it is already what it is. Your imagination only keeps you away from that reality. If you want to know it, you have to remove your imagination and see what is. That is nature of any knowledge.
Then we have to take that effort to try
So
to
therefore, exactly. Till when is the effort? Your effort is with reference to you come to Rishikesh. That is your first effort. Having come to Rishikesh, you come to the class. That is your effort. Having come to the class, what? You don't go to sleep. Your effort. All this is your effort. But does your effort have any role to play in making Brahman limitless? No. Brahman doesn't require your effort to become limitless. Brahman is already what is. So if your buddhi has to understand this reality, is it making that Brahman? No.
The action doesn't change the outcome.
Absolutely. No amount of action will change the outcome. So therefore, this samuchaya, knowledge and action combined, doesn't what? The action is redundant. It is like, I see, because of some fault in my eyes, I don't see the sun. I see the sun with some dark spots. Then I conclude the sun is dirty and I try to clean the sun with my action, effort. What kind of a pursuit is this? Mad. Where the sun is what is, and I'm trying, through my effort, I'm trying to change the sun. Effort is required, but in totally something else. What? In making my eyes, what? Problem free, so that I can see the sun. Am I changing the nature of the sun? No. The effort that I am putting is what? With reference to fixing my eyes. If you don't understand that difference, and if you think that you are going to produce Atma and make it limitless, it is like wanting to clean up the sun.
So you put the effort into the knowledge.
Absolutely. You put the effort into understanding what Shastra is saying accurately. You don't produce limitlessness. Nobody can produce limitlessness.
And you have to remove the distortions from the mind. You have to put an effort in that, no?
So that means your effort is in preparing the mind
Mind.
and not in making Atma limitless.
Yeah.
That you have to understand, because everything, the whole humanity starts with what? Your Atma is small, insignificant, and you have to do something to make it what? Free from that limitation. Vedanta pursuit is a different pursuit altogether. It says Atma is already free. If it is already free, already limitless, what addition action will do to make Atma more than what it is? Nothing. It has no role to play.
So we shift from becoming to understanding.
Excellent. That shift, Vimal, is so critical, because if you haven't understood it, your whole effort is in the wrong direction.
Everything in our life is about becoming, and all the pursuits are also about that.
Excellent. The whole entire orientation of life is all about becoming. Becoming something that I am not. So entire pursuit that we have, artha, kama, dharma, is all about becoming. What I don't have, I want to get. So Purva Mimamsaka cannot give up that orientation. For them, Veda is also about becoming. Becoming better, getting better places, better lokas, better bodies. And they miss the point. The whole pursuit is not about becoming, but it is about knowing. Excellent.
This is the moment it is told when the wise man starts to get wise, he started to laugh. Because he sees it's all there.
Exactly, it's all there. And actually, it's true. As you begin to see more and more what the reality is, you can sometimes wonder, but how can I be so confused before? True. It's a wonder. That how you missed it.
Why do you think our lives and education systems and everything in the external world is the opposite?
Yeah,
But why? That's terrible.
it's terrible. True.
Because of the mix-up. It's all over. So sad.
It's so sad.
Life of becoming.
Okay, so therefore, unless you understand, because every other pursuit, as Vimal says, is all becoming. This is the only pursuit which is actually knowing. That's why to give up the orientation of becoming is so difficult. Then, that whole orientation of becoming we carry forward in this pursuit. And how does it manifest? The experience which I don't have now, I want to create. Becoming. The bliss that I don't have now, I want to experience. The expansion which is like, oh, everything is one, that I don't have now, I want to create. We carry forward this orientation without even realizing it. And as long as we don't realize it, we are on a trip, creating something, becoming something that I am not. And then using karma to get what I am not. Gain experience that I don't have. We cannot give up the orientation of becoming. And as long as we keep this orientation, Vedanta will remain a secret. Because we are in the wrong direction altogether. So therefore, Jnana Karma Samuchaya is not possible. They are two totally different pursuits. One is becoming, the other one is what? Knowing.
But while knowing, you still actively work on whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. So that means your free will and your action comes till the point that you come here and make yourself available to understand what the nature of your reality is. What the nature of your reality is not getting produced. It is what is. You only shed your ignorance and see what is.
But how has that answered
Their thing is Jnana Karma Samuchaya means in for that it's for cleaning, right? It's for seeing. Okay, their argument is for having the sun, which is clean. You need to what? First know what the sun is, and then you have to go and clean the sun. Jnana Karma Samuchaya.
action and knowledge?
You need
On
action
on the
and
way.
knowledge, both, to accomplish what? A spotless sun. What are we saying? Sun is already spotless. Doesn't require your action to clean it up. The action is required what? With reference to preparing your eyes. Sun does not depend upon what? Your cleaning to become clean. Atma does not depend upon your cleaning or your making it limitless. Atma is already free. Before you come to Vedanta, before you don't come to Vedanta, Atma is always free. What are you doing by coming to Vedanta? You're just shedding your ignorance about what is the nature of Atma. You're not producing Atma and making it from limited to limitless. You understand that difference?
But still I'm asking myself, every experience can help. An experience is as good as my knowledge is, the interpretation.
Absolutely. So that means every experience is only an experience. It is only, we are not saying experience is not needed. Please understand. I never said experience is not needed. But if you think that understanding Atma is one of, I have had many experiences and there is a special type of experience, which is knowing Atma, right? Which is only, every experience is within time and space, right? So one experience is that of contraction, the other experience is that of expansion. What is Atma? The invariable presence because of which all the experiences are known.
I was thinking it's the death experience of Ramana Maharshi, He had an experience and he has a knowledge, and put it together. So understand? This was my question.
Yeah. So therefore, experience by definition actually does not establish anything.
No, you need knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay, I have a question.
So-
in this context, I'm still confused. So, then everything is just what it is and it's fine. So why would you then pursue a creative thing or a scientific project, or, a person who's just bhatkoing is the same as somebody who's not the same, but like, where do you create a sense of...
Okay. So therefore, As I told you, right, the wave which understands all that is water, for that wave, the reality of ocean is not negated. The reality of every other wave is also not negated. It sees all that. It's not like from the vision everything is just erased. But something which is more fundamental is seen. When I see something more fundamental, all the forms gain their perspective. Automatically it gains its perspective. By understanding that everything is based on that reality, those forms are apparent, they are not absolutely real. Right? My individuality is apparent, it's not absolutely real, and I can use all the talents and skills that are given to me to operate within that reality. It doesn't deny that. Actually, it frees me from the burden. Because if I take all these forms as separate from me, and my existence, I make it into such a small thing, and if I miss that oneness, then everything becomes so much of a problem. Because in that I am helpless, in that vision I am what? Many things don't happen according to me. Then I start calling myself a failure. I start calling myself a victim.
But Neema, how do you count for some, say, a great musician?
Yes.
They've lived their life in the most horrible and individualistic and mean-spirited way very often. But they've created something that has just been such a legacy that everyone else has kind of gained from.
That's true. See, this is what I say, that when you have a basic mix-up, even with that mix-up, you can excel in one thing. Because you've really, as I told you, that, let's say you have excellent cognitive capacity and you can become a scientist. But if the mix-up is not undone, your distortion will show up where in your relationship with your spouse. It will show up in your relationship with your kids or relationship with your colleagues who are helping you to do research. So you can excel in one thing and you can become so good. But if you haven't really solved the puzzle of life, there is a distortion. And that distortion will manifest in different areas of your life. When you have gained the right perspective, you can engage in the world. It doesn't deny you that engagement. But that engagement is with clarity.
That's what separates the Shankaracharya from a...
Excellent. That's what separates Shankaracharya from just one scholar who could be just very intelligent.
And the musician, by lack of having the understanding, he could think, I am the creator, I am the creation, I am the supreme of the music. And that itself
can create a huge ego. Yeah. And many times you see those people, they are so creative in one way, but so many things, when you are so good in one thing, then other things are all not paid attention to. Their relationships are all messed up, right? I mean, I don't want to generalize, but this is the nature of mind, right? You just pay attention to one thing and you excel and everything else gets ignored. And when you do that, then distortions are all there. It starts showing up in different areas. Like Einstein himself, brilliant. But he himself was regretting that I did not even go and see my dying wife because I was so absorbed in my own trying to figure out, how the galaxies work.
But wouldn't you say that to achieve that level of, you kind of have to negate some aspects of your life, what is like not possible?
See, that is within Ishvara.
Yeah.
In the sense that all kinds of people are there. In karmas, all kinds of people are there. If your life here on this earth, prarabdha, is meant for something, you will come with that. And you will achieve, and you will actually make a breakthrough and you will become very famous. It's available within your prarabdha. And that's why Ishvara uses all kinds of different people to come into being, because the world needs all kinds of people. Right? And this is why I keep on telling you, mix-up does not mean, please don't think that, oh, those people are all ajnanis. Don't dismiss them, because within these ajnanis are all these geniuses, scientists, artists. They all live with this basic mix-up of what is the nature of Atma. But that doesn't make them all ignorant people. In that are all the philanthropists, all. They haven't figured out yet. But through this orientation of doing, they can accomplish a lot of things. So don't be simplistic in your categorization.
I've seen even vice versa, someone very not so blessed in life, living a very meager, humble life, has such a vision of life and the way they live it, the values they live with,
Absolutely.
far superior than someone who's very wealthy and in a very position.
Absolutely. Right? So therefore, this Gnana Karma Samuchaya, okay, by that process of becoming, you can accomplish a lot. But here, so that means, for knowing Atma, you can't mix the two. You only need knowledge, because why? Atma, if you want to produce limitlessness, there is no way to produce limitlessness. It is already there.
But this you're just telling the Puru,
Purva
He says you have
Mimamsaka.
to do something on the Brahman to understand Brahman.
Exactly.
And you can't do anything on the Brahman.
Absolutely. This is the argument.
what was
He says that you have to work on the Brahman to understand what Brahman is. And he's saying you can't work on something like, it won't change anything, you can't work on it. It is there. And it is limitless, it is eternal, you can't do anything about it. You have to work on your mind to remove ignorance, and therefore it will reveal itself. So the action here changes, you can have a free will to change what is there as an outcome. With respect to Brahman, you can't change anything on the outcome, it exists. So the action is on your mind, that result doesn't change. So you can't act on the Brahman per se. That's what he's trying to do.
That's correct.
He
But
does it
Raja
through
is-
action.
And there are great people who have managed to, I think, have that equanimity and balance and understanding and still being like supremely creative.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. Once I understand my nature is, let's say, limitless, it does not deny me to act in this world. Please understand that. It's not like once I know that, I don't have to do anything. I'm not saying that. Once I know that, actually I'm more free to engage in the world, because I don't have confusion. I engage much more freely, and I can do so many things
With Nishkam.
without mistaking what the nature of I. Before I was doing things with confusion, now I'm doing
deliberation?
exactly, doing things with clarity. That's all. It's not like I don't do it. Please don't take it like that. Right? Once I know Atma to be limitless, I don't have to do anything. This is not what I'm talking about.
Neema, can I say something? I think it's useful to clarify two things. One is, before you come to know this, okay, in the pursuit of this of this Brahman, of this limitlessness, what is the place of action and what is the place of knowledge? This is one question. Does action have anything to do in producing or modifying or purifying myself or something, and then some Brahman limitless will emerge? That is the question. Or is it only, it has not, it has no place, no role. Or it is just a matter of knowing something which is there. So this is one part of the argument. Then we are always in the discussion also going to the other side, which is, once you have come to know, are you engaged or not in the world? That is another question. Okay, so let's not mix up these two questions. Okay?
It is like, let me give one example and then I'll stop because it's 11:20, right? So I don't want to, let's say if there is a clear crystal, there is no crystal, right? Now this crystal, imagine a crystal bowl, right? Now, and this cloth is behind the crystal ball. So now, crystal appears to be what? Red. So what have you concluded? The crystal is red. Does the redness ever belong to the crystal? No. So now, if your thinking is, crystal is red, so let me go and dust the redness out from the crystal. The action that you do, which is on the crystal of cleaning it up, it is redundant. Why is it redundant? Because the crystal never is red. Do you get that? So all you have to do is to what? To know that actually this crystal appears to be red but is never red. That's knowledge. Okay? Now, the second thing is, after knowing it, we are not saying you should not do anything. After knowing, Atma is never limited by anything. It doesn't mean that you don't do anything once you know it. Right? But you can't think of Atma as now limited and then through your actions you are going to make it free from limitation. Because then it is like taking crystal to be red, Atma to be limited, and then trying to make it not limited. It's not like that. Atma is already limitless.
Your actions should just be aligned with.
Your actions are meant to prepare you for seeing this reality accurately. You are not, as Rajan said very correctly, he used totally, that you are not trying to change Brahman, you are trying to what? Know it as it is. Your efforts are there, but in what? Preparing yourself so that you can see what is accurately. Having understood it doesn't mean after that you don't have to do anything. That's a very good point, Surya. Then you are free to engage in the world, use all your creativity, because this individuality is there. It's a gift from you. The body and mind, which was a liability, has become an asset. Because it's an addition, it's given to you for a few years. You use it with all its creativity.
And free will, right?
Yeah, and you use your free will to get engaged in whatever with lot more freedom than before, than with this day. Right? So, in that knowledge, there is no room for action, does not mean, as Surya says, after knowing you will not do anything. That's a very good distinction, Surya. Yeah, that's very helpful.
And the second thing I think we have to clarify, because this is what Shona is bringing, which is interesting. Because she's trying to connect what we have seen before. And we can understand that the direct means to this freedom is what? The only means, really speaking, the only means is what? Only knowledge. Seeing that you are already free. This is the only means. Now there is also, as Neema has been saying again and again and
Secondary
again,
means.
there is a second also dimension of the whole pursuit, which is what? Preparing yourself. So this is a secondary means. So it's
Then
not
it requires
that
effort.
meditation alone or an attitude of performing action in keeping with Dharma. All this will not produce the knowledge of the limitless, but it will act as a secondary means to prepare you so that when you expose yourself to this knowledge, it will happen. Okay? So action even before you get to know anything has a role to play. But if you tell that action is the means to get freedom, no. It's a secondary or indirect means or helps you prepare yourself to have this knowledge.
Yeah. So we make two kinds of means. One is the primary means and the other one is secondary means. That's a good point. The primary means is knowledge. Atma is free. You need to know it. Right? The secondary means is what? Preparing yourself. That requires effort. That is Purusha Tantra. Whether you come to class, whether you, as Viman was saying, right? Whether you stay awake in the class, whether you engage enough. After the class, whether you think about it enough, right? All these is your efforts. But through these efforts, you are not producing Brahman.
Do you believe there's a stage in one's life when one should focus on this versus other things? Because you know how like your teacher told you go and work more and then come, like,
yes,
like my boss has been saying write your book and don't do all this, she calls it work-life balance, whatever. So you know, because your mind can only be occupied by a certain amount of engagement, and I'm just questioning, you know, say you have a family, or say you have a certain creative goal or pursuit or whatever else that you want to kind of achieve, then how do you, because this is very all-consuming and very intoxicating, and it's kind of like you want more of this, and then I sometimes get scared because I'm like,
this is so true, Namita. I totally understand. Because when you first come across a knowledge like this, you can't believe that there can be a knowledge like this. And as you begin to taste the impact of this knowledge on your life, and and you just want more and more and more. Because you see, oh my God, my whole life and lifetimes have been actually looking for this.
but I guess you just balance
But
it out, no?
But that does not then mean what? There is this whole need to continue and do it more and more. But you can't just drop everything. This is exactly what Lord Krishna told Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to drop everything, and he says, what? Everything else seems so insignificant, I want to just pursue this knowledge full time. He says, no. Because for this knowledge to take place, you need what? The mind which is prepared. If you leave everything and you are stuck with your mind, which is an unprepared mind, it will never get this meaning. But if you stay where you are and you begin to deal with situations differently, begin to deal with emotions, begin to undo the entanglements, then it will prepare you for this
And
knowledge.
your knowledge is coming alive in your experience.
Exactly.
You need
So
that
that
output.
means every experience is so needed for you to, before it was entangling you more, now it is not used to untangle. So that's why you continue. You have to continue. But you have to live your life with a different vision. So that's why you don't need to stay away from things. There may come a time in your life where you may just concentrate on it for a while, but even after that, our teacher always said, go out there and either share it or work. Don't be just, oh yeah, now I have become Brahman and I have nothing to do. Not at all. He himself was so active, extremely dynamic person. He was interested in dance, he was interested in music, he was interested in science, he was interested in psychology. He was just extremely dynamic. life became a celebration because the riddle was solved.
Bhagavan Krishna
Okay.
says also in Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing for me to do in all the three worlds, yet I.
And still I'm constantly engaging. But with reference to all my engagement, what I don't carry the burden. I'm what playing flute, I'm cheerful, I'm mastikhor, I'm like that. But I do what needs to be done. This is how life becomes. Right? It does not mean non-action. It means in that knowledge I just know it. After that, I'm free to use all the creativities with this body and mind which is given to me. You know, with all, without any actually these things which pull me down.
Thank you, that's definitely.
That was a good point, Surya. Okay, so with this comes the almost all the arguments are taken care of. All the details you can go through the notes, right? But I think I've covered almost everything. So with this ends our Brahma Sutra. Okay? We will chant the 4 sutras.
Neema, you ask them just to
The
repeat
first-
because they are on different pages.
Okay, the first, page 5. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Do it properly. Athato Brahma Jignasa. Janmantyasya yataha. Okay, let's find it. 11, page 11. Janmantyasya yataha. Properly. Janmantyasya yataha. Shastrayo nitvat. Page 16. Shastrayo nitvat. Tattu samanvayat. Tattu samanvayat. Okay. These are the 4 sutras. Within this 11 words, entire meaning of what Vedanta is talking about is explained. We can have 11 days, you can spend 3 months, you can spend 6 months. That is the depth of the literature. And that depth comes from Adi Shankaracharya. The Acharya who has given us each word, pages and pages and pages of analysis as to what it means and why it means what it means.
And those counterpoints are part of this?
Yeah,
Yes.
counterpoints are part of this.
The commentary
He
itself.
himself makes the counterpoints.
After
And he
having those
himself,
debates.
exactly. And then he makes those counterpoints and he answers those counterpoints. The commentaries, embedded in the commentaries are counterpoints. Right? So we celebrate this whole teaching parampara. And everything that I have learned from my teacher. There's not one thing which is mine. So I do pranams to my Guru. All these people who have come here, who've listened to Swamiji before, when they come and they tell me I'm doing justice to Swamiji's teaching, I feel blessed. It makes me so happy when they come and tell me that you are carrying the tradition unadulterated by your own thinking. feel so, so happy and I feel blessed.
Thank you.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate